Good afternoon, Young Kings. Time for your more motivation. Decided to jump on after my physical therapy, kind of show you some of the progress. So I went into there, and I actually went in a little late, so got some new sleeves. But my physical therapist, she was asking me how things are progressing and how I was doing with my home exercise and things of that nature. Show you the scar. There's the scar, battle scar right there. And I started talking with her about, that I was a little disappointed that I wasn't further ahead than what I was. So just to kind of show you, like, that's the furthest I can move my hand down, and this is the furthest, which is increasing. But I was expecting, compared to, being able to do all this and stuff like that, and side to side, so side I can go like that, and then like, about right there is about the restrictions that I can go. And it's been just about 2 months. So I was thinking I should be able to be a little further ahead. And I was expressing that to her, like, hey, when I took off my cast, in my imagination, I was thinking like, okay, I may be doing this like that, just be able to do some wrist curls and stuff like that. And I was anticipating, lifting, like starting off at like 5 pounds and then 10 pounds and stuff of that nature, and then gradually working my way up. So I didn't anticipate this slow progress of not being able to move my hand down. And so after I finished communicating that to her, what she had the nerve to say, she hit me with my own line. You got to trust the process. Like, this is not an overnight thing. You're 2 months into a 6 to 9 month process. And, she mentioned, the individual that left before me was at that 6 month stage, and they had about 45% range of motion. And they said, you're always going to be at a new normal. So don't anticipate going back to what you were able to do before. You're going to be having some restricted range of motion, but it will get better over time. It's just you're at 2 months and you're just getting your cast off, and things are not just going to be overnight. So when she said trust the process, I was like, you know what? And the Lord, has a way of communicating things with me, that she would use kind of, that language to be intentional, that I need to trust the process. And it's not just in the physical realm of being able to maneuver my wrists. It's just like sometimes we can rate ourselves with this unrealistic expectation of what other people think we should be doing, or even what we think we should be doing ourselves. Like in my instance, I thought that I was superhuman, and that I was going to be able to shortcut the process. My mom used to tell me that the shortcuts are the long way around. So there's really no shortcuts in life. And there's a saying out there, so if you got enough time to do it again, then you had enough time to do it right the first time. So it's better to take your time and do it right than to rush and have to do it over again. So I'll continue to do my home physical therapy, because even last week it was difficult squeezing the fists together. So now I can at least squeeze my fists together. I can notice some of the pressure in there. Some of the swelling's going down as well. I'm not sure if you can tell the difference between the two. My arms are, so this one is the right one, I guess, and this is the left. So it's still a little bigger than that. Like, for me to be a big guy, it's my head this big, and sometimes my stomach, but my arms, my legs are pretty small. But onto that, I've been, since I established my fitness room in the house, I might even put a picture of my fitness room up here. I've been pretty consistent with getting down there and getting at it, getting on my cycle, with my splint on, and then doing what I can in the fitness room to remain active, and just kind of, instead of waiting until I become completely healed, just doing what I can do while I can do it. So, and I think that's a lesson in itself. It's like, don't wait for an ideal situation. There will be things that you have to do in spite of restrictions, limitations, setbacks, and stuff of that nature. So you're going to have to continue to do what you can while you can. and don't use it as a license to not do anything. So that was very interesting going into that process of physical therapy, which is my second session, and many more to come. So this is it's difficult, it's frustrating, but it's the process. And when you trust your process, you're going to learn that it's not going to go at the rate and the speed that you intended to be. So be mindful of that things will happen when they're supposed to happen in due time. In due time, your season will come. In due time, when you wait patiently, things will happen when it's the right time for them to happen, and not a second before or a second after. There's a saying out there that says, God is always on time. You know, I serve an on-time God. And in that message, you know, there's something, you know, he doesn't come early and he doesn't come late, but he's on time. So a lot of us, in our desire for change and our desire for growth and development, we want him to come early. We want him to be early. But let's say that, you know, God came early. What if you weren't ready? Just like for those who are on public transportation, you're out there waiting for the bus stop and you got there in the intended time for the bus to be picked up. Let's say it was supposed to pick you up at 12:15 and you got to the bus stop at 12:13, which you thought was 2 minutes to spare, but the bus actually came at 12:05. You know, you'll be frustrated. You know, that it came early. You expecting the bus to be on schedule that it was intended to be. And that's how God is with us. And although we don't know the schedule of the 12:15 or the 12:30 and when it's going to happen, but if we trust in the Most High, then we know that it's on his timing. And that's kind of like trusting the process in itself. And I was reading the scripture, and it talked about today in Proverbs 3, trust in the Lord and do not lean on your own understanding. And in all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your paths. So if you're trusting the Most High and you don't lean on your own understanding of what you think is supposed to happen, because we have a fallen state of a fallen understanding of what fear is, of what time is appropriate for the conditions and situations we're in. So you can't lean on your own understanding of like, oh, I thought this, like I said, I thought that my risk was going to be a lot further ahead than what it is. And I have to go through the natural process of healing. And you're going to have to go through the natural process of whatever it is that you're enduring. So just be mindful of that when you go through life, that when you on social media, it looks like things are happening for people right away. Things are like rapid, you know, they're getting this, they're getting that. And it just seems like it's the microwave effect of today's society. You want to put it in, you want to press a few buttons, and then you want a full course meal at the end of that. But that's not how life happens. There's a lot of behind the scenes, and that's kind of the side effects of movies, TVs, and stuff of that nature, because they show you and they glamorize the finished product. You know, a TV show, you can watch a movie, and at the beginning of the movie, this person is down and out, and then but within that hour and a half, they didn't just overcame a lot, and then now they're, you know, off in the sunset, they're got businesses and that, all in the span of an hour. And in your mind, you know, you're looking like, wow, you know, and it may be motivating to you, but they condensed it in an entertainment format for you. But when you live in it, it's elongated. It's not in a condensed format. You're going to have to go through the highs and the lows to be able to appreciate the process. And that's why I said, do not lean on your own understanding. But it says, in all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. So, or he will make your path straight. So when you're going through that, you acknowledge, hey, Lord, I'm not where I'm supposed to be, but I'm not where I used to be either. And I thank you that you transition me into something even greater than what I am now. So you're acknowledging like you're still on that process of development, of growth, of maturing. There's some things that I'm learning now at 46 that I wish I would have known at 20. I wish I would have been able to get some of these jewels earlier in life. And I think that's a lot of my motivation from behind doing these videos and stuff of that nature, is because I'm not coming from a perspective of I have had everything done right. A lot of things I'm teaching you is out of my failures, out of my missteps, out of my mishaps, and not getting it right. And then me going back and reflecting on some of those things to figure out how can I recover from that. Not only me recover, but stop you from going through and stumbling on some of the things that I stumbled on. Because they said the difference between a smart person and a wise person is that a smart person learns from their mistakes. A wise person learns from other people's mistakes. So I had to go through life being smart. Had a friend, Jason, sent me a video from Kevin Samuel the other day. And, you know, whether you like the man or not, there is some nuggets of truth in what he's saying. And he was talking to the men about proper grooming and stuff of that nature. And also a lot of good stuff, helpful stuff in that video. Stuff that, as melanated kings, that we don't get taught at a young age, but we're expected to know as we mature. So you're held to a standard, but nobody's willing to teach you how to get to that standard. I remember going to a gas station and I seen this older man. He was, you know, he had to be in his 50s or 60s or something of that nature, but he was very delicate with talking to this adolescent kid. The kid couldn't have been more than 7 or so. And I was simply amazed at how delicate he was with that individual, because he was teaching them how to put gas in a car. And he was telling them, hey, you see these buttons up here, you know, these are the different grades. And I'm just sitting across from him because I'm pumping my gas, but I'm also observing what he's teaching them. And he's teaching about the different things, the payment method. And he says, all right, what you want to do is unscrew the gas tank and this and that. And, you know, you pick it up, you place it in there, and then you go back and you select the gas, the brand you want for your vehicles. And once you select that, then you go and squeeze. And he was very intentional about that. And I thought about, like, as melanated king, like, no one takes time to teach us that, but we're expected to know. And the fact that we don't know, we will end up on somebody's TikTok or social media nowadays because we don't know how to put gas in the vehicle. But there's been no one that tells us to how to do that. So you have this level of expectation of that people are supposed to be a certain place, but they don't have the necessary prerequisite steps to get there. It's my job now, as a mature man and still growing, and not to say that I'm perfecting and perfect in everything that I do, but it's my job to kind of reach back and, you know, try to sow seeds of success and progress along the way so people can be encouraged. But in that, there is a process and there's no shortcut about it. Even if I give you the jewels and the gems that you need to be successful, even in your application of those, even though you may go further than me, you're still going to have to go through that process of growing and developing and maturing. There's no way around that. So you will get to a point where you got to continue to trust the process. And that's why it's important. It says, like, to trust in the Lord, and lean not on your own understanding. You know, because in our mind, we decide what's fair. And for those who've been following me for a while and watched my journey, I remember talking to my daughter about the scales of justice and fairness. And one time, you know, I was asking her to do something that she was very young, and she was like, "Oh, that's no fair. You always ask me, and you don't ask, you know, my sisters, and you don't go through this." And I told her, like, life is unfairly fair. Like, the fact that life is unfair for everyone makes it fair for everyone. So your ideal of fair may be different than my ideal of fair, but the truth of the matter is that we're all going to embark upon a journey, a portion of our journey that seems to be unfair. But the scales will balance out as you continue to go through the process and stuff of that nature. So I'll continue to do my rehab and try to do things. And I actually did have 10 pounds on there today because I can't bend it. But when I have my splint on there, it gives me support so I can at least put the weight in my hand and put it up against this so I can kind of lift it with that without bending it. So my wrist doesn't bend when I do this, but it still conditions my arm. And so I'm getting into a healthier state. Been working out. I can see, my face in the last week, it's starting to slim down. I've been trying to prioritize sleep, and going through the process of going to bed at a reasonable time. I haven't got all the way back there yet, but I'm closer than I was when I was in my backslidden state. The workouts have been consistent. I took Sunday off, but I was on 6 days last week, and I've been on there Monday and Tuesday of today, and then I'll be back on there tomorrow, riding my bike, doing some core workouts and stuff of that nature, building where I can. So continue to trust the process. Things will happen when they're supposed to happen. You can't abbreviate this process. So today is November 3rd, and the other reason I wanted to jump on this thing is it's been a year to this day that I started dating this young lady I'm dating, Keisha. And even in dating, trusting the process, and I just was mentioning, the majority of 2020, I was emotionally unavailable. I had went through a lot through that year, and I wasn't really conditioned to be in a friendship relationship type ordeal. And I had choices where I'm a successful man. I could have went out and I could have played the field and did what I wanted to do and covered up and a lot of drinking and lust with different women and stuff of that nature. But that's not the route that I wanted to go. And a lot of people who are hurt go through that process, and I'm not judging what they do with their brokenness, but they end up breaking more people during the process. And there's a saying out there that says, hurt people hurt people. So I was mindful of my ability to hurt others because I was hurting so much. I had went through a divorce. My best friend had died. Was stressed at work, going through a lot of accreditation and preparation for our national accreditation evaluation. There was a lot on my plate, and I was emotionally unavailable. But what is for you is for you. And when the time was right, and it was happened to be November 3rd of 2020 that I started dating this young lady and opened myself up to be vulnerable again. And the friendship has really grown, the relationship, the boyfriend, girlfriend, and just trusting the process and not putting the cart before the horse. And even in that, we having difficult conversations, and I'm able to be transparent with her. And a lot of people would think that I'm too transparent with her. She knows all about my past, and yes, she watches my videos and stuff of that nature. But the transparency that I'm able to have with her, I said, look, I'm dating with a purpose. So if I haven't engaged you by the end of our 2 years, then we probably need to go our separate ways, because I'm that intentional about what I want to do with my life. And if we haven't come to a point where we're making progress in our relationship, then even being stagnant is regress. Is you're going backwards. Very rarely do you stand still. The earth is on a rotational plane, and if you stand still today, where you are today, you'll be further back behind, being in that same place tomorrow or 2 years from now. So although you may be thinking you're treading water, you're actually going backwards. So I'm all about progress, and every time I feel like I'm introduced into an environment, it has to get better. We can't just be stagnant. We can't, be regressing. I'm about progress, and I'm about doing it the right way. So this year I'll be intentional about, I'm still in counseling, but eventually I want to get into couples counseling to work through any discrepancies we have in a relationship, and trust in the process. Hey, if this was meant to be, it will be. And if it's not meant to be, then it won't happen. So there's a saying out there, if you want something bad, that's exactly how you'll get it bad. So we just went through a year, and then eventually I'll go through this next year as we do the counselings and figure out where we are with things. But I've been working on myself. I'm not dependent on her to make me happy. I'm self-sufficient. Like, I'm not to brag, but I've really been on my business about taking care of being a man and learning how to be a real man and stuff of that nature. So I will continue to trust the process. Things will happen when they're supposed to happen. Give you an update. I told you I interviewed for that job, and I still haven't heard back from them, so that's really no update. But they told me it was going to be about 10 days to 2 weeks. So hopefully by the end of this week, early next week, whether I get the job or not, I will find out. But the other thing, the news to report, is that I'm on the second stage of this other job that I applied for, going to the third stage, and it's a Ford logistics management specialist, and it's in Japan. And I tell you what, I've been so excited about even the potential of this opportunity of working in Japan. It encouraged me. Like I said, when you pray that prayer, like for the Lord to open doors that cannot be closed and to close doors that cannot be opened, and how that gives you a license to explore, it was just out the blue how I came to apply for this job. Like, those who don't know, I've converted my house into an Airbnb, and I had a guest about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they came and they stayed 2 weeks, and they lived in Japan for an extended point in time, and then he moved to Singapore, and he was talking to me about Japan and stuff of that nature, how nice it was and how much they enjoyed it and stuff of that nature. So that was like the first introduction to Japan. Like, oh, it's a nice place to visit. So then about a week and a half ago, I'm sitting on my couch, and out the blue I get a call from Japan. You know, it says Japan, they got the little country code and stuff. I'm like, who's calling me from Japan? And at first I wasn't going to even answer the call, but then I answered the call, and come to find out it's another lieutenant colonel, retired, but I went to OBC with him, you know, back in 2002, and he wanted to use me as a reference on his security clearance. So we get, I told him no problem, I got him covered, good guy. And we played basketball. I used to smash him on the basketball course. If you watch this, I used to punish him down in the paint. He used to try to cheat me though. We used to be going to 10, and I'll be winning like 10-3, just smashing him. And then he'll try to, hey, let's go to 15. And, and then we continue on. And then he got me a few times that way where I had won the game, and then he recommended we extend the game, and he ended up coming back and winning. So, but I used to be punishing him. But anyway, that was a slight detour. But he calls me, and he's talking about Japan and this and that, and how he was, when he got out, he retired. He was just looking for opportunities in the state, and he had this tunnel vision about where he wanted to work at. And he told me once he expanded it, he went overseas to Japan, and that was one of the best decisions he made. So after I got off the phone the phone with him, I was encouraged. I was like, man, and I had already expanded my search, but I was like, well, let me check Japan. And the day that he called, the job I went on, the day I got on there, was October 26th. It was October 26th. It was the same date that this job was closing for a Ford logistics management specialist in Japan. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go in and put my name in a hat. It's closing today. Let me just throw it out there. So I put it in. They sent my resume over, and then they had me take this test. They sent this test back to me. And this is a 3-hour test. And I realized during this process, people are not giving this money away. I've been taking 3-hour tests, and this other job I'm applying for, they got like 6 essay questions of 2,000 to 5,000 words per question. I feel like I'm in school again, applying for a job. But for this logistics management specialist in Japan, I just got an email notification that I had a successful test score, and now they're forwarding it over to the hiring manager for potential interview opportunities. So I'm on that second tier of getting ready for that. But man, if y'all are praying out there, I would love to have that opportunity. But once again, it's the Most High. Things will happen when they're supposed to happen. And I got to trust the process that, hey, Japan was introduced to me through various different venues over this last few weeks. And then I trusted the process and put my resume in, and I'm trusting the Most High that what is for me is for me. Even if I don't get it, it has sparked enough curiosity in me to be this excited about doing it, that tells me I need to explore more of that. So be patient with yourself and with others as you go through this process. And that's what trust the process is. It's to just trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him. Be well, young kings.
You gotta go back and drive back and see.
I'm on my big bullshit, ready to get a start. Bitch, I got new sticks. Nobody's gonna do you like me. No, leave me in the shower.